working and why, what they need to try next, why have they gone into soft chalks and why have they stopped using the crowns that they were using earlier before, which bits work. Maybe the top lid there works quite well and maybe that's quite nice as a foil against it, some strong marks there, but maybe the drawing in that is a little bit suspect. So what's going on there? Is the artist aware of what they're doing? We turn the page and here we've got a much bigger drawing which takes over 2 pages. Let's have a quick look at that. Now that's quite impressive in terms of the scale. We've got a fully worked up double page drawing. Some bits quite nice, the way that the top of that pot blends into the background there. Less successful is the outside shape of this blue pot there. Parts of the teapot, the blurring away of focus, the pulling together, sharpening of focus, that works quite nicely. The form of that spout there works well. That one, not so much. Doesn't seem to join onto the body of the teapot. Is the artist aware? Here's a good bit. Look at this. The background of the mat or whatever it is they're sitting on has blurred into the body of the teapot, but then a quick black line has been drawn in a couple of times and that asserts that background and it echoes this dark line here that's going across of the edge of the teapot there, and that makes a pleasing effect, but then it gets lost a bit here in this shape which doesn't seem to fit out against the rest of it. So some good bits, some bits less so, but do we know anything about this? Is there any annotation? Where does this take the artist and where do they go next and why? Are they aware of the problems and issues? Are they aware of the successes? Not so much, we can't tell. Alright, so moving on. Then we start seeing some collage elements appear in it, and we've got felt tips and we've got crayons, got different media, dry media now, and also cut out pre-printed media. Here we can see, if we can get it open, that there's some shapes have been cut out and some more shapes have been cut up from flashcards, memory cards, and you can see some writing on lines in the top left corner and down in the bottom right there. You can see some writing that's been put in there and works over with pastels, and that mixes against the felt tip marks, but the dots on the Bluetooth speaker are pre-printed already. Quite an interesting piece, but why is it there? How does it work? Same with this here, it's a bit looser and freer and the marks are more developed, so again, exploration and experimentation, purposeful development even. I think you can definitely say there's a journey of some sorts going on there. This bit of tracing paper is falling off. And if we look at this, there's some foreshortening going on, some quite interesting drawing and a big background colour and then areas of white left behind. But there's nothing to tell us how or why this is working. Now let's look at these ones. Here we've got the ideas developed even further, same kinds of image developed up in a sequence, and some of the collage elements getting bolder and stronger, flatter and more abstracted. So there is definitely a development going on there. And then if we put it around to this one here, we start seeing that there's a piece of paper with marks laid over the top, pre-made, the dry sponge marks that's been used as a ground to create a tonal difference for a collage work which is placed over the top. So now we get the background texture and the foreground collage work, and that's a clear development on from what's been going on in this one here. And on the next page we can see those ideas taken even further. First of all, black and white one, then a black and white one with an element of colour placed into it and lots of subtle tonal differences. Maybe that's less successful. And then another one with more coloured elements in it with some problem areas where the patterning runs out and we can't see what is the difference between the backgrounds and the shape that's alluded to there. And then finally one that's much more sophisticated where the patterning has been thought through and the colours much more abstracted and developed into one visual language. But how has this artist arrived at this sequence? We know we can see it because if we look closely at the art we can tell, but it's not been signposted. Are we aware how aware they are? What could we give them in the key assessment points? Moving on, we're now back to pencil drawing and chalk drawing with flattened spaces, reduced colours and so on. We've got a sketchbook which has got a blank page, it's got some background colour on it which is quite nice. It's asking to put something on there. One of the things that could go on this blank page could be some work about an artist, couldn't it? Where did this come from? Why has this been done? What was the inspiration? What was the work? What could have been done there? And now we've got the same thing but more developed up in colour, and in a sense this looks like Fauvism. So here we've got something that reminds us a little bit of Matisse or Derain or Vlaminck or someone like that, and we could think about, okay, if that's the case, then let's have a look at some artists here that could go in this page that relate to what's going on here, and some kind of account explanation. Is this what the artist wants to do? How is this a development on from previous work? Because then when we turn the page, we've got something which seems to suggest the beginnings of a cubist breakdown of space. The collage work returns, we've got some dynamic shapes, we've got some break up in the drawing. So first of all in the drawing we get shapes that are broken up, beginning to be separated out like collaged elements, and then here we get more fragmentation and cutting up, so we begin to get something that appears to be like a cubist drawing or painting. So wouldn't it be time to turn the page over and see some work on Braque or Picasso or Gris, one of the main cubists, or maybe Metzinger or Gleizes, one of the lesser known ones. But what we get is a run of background pages that are nicely prepared, waiting for more material, and then it runs out. So let's look at our marking criteria and see what we could give this sketchbook. So far, we would have to say for research wide, nothing. For research narrow, nothing. Experimentation, exploration of media techniques and processes, I think it could be signposted and it could be annotated, but there's some quite good work going on there, so I give that 6. Purposeful development, again, I think there's some good work going on there. I think it could be signposted and made more evident and put into more context, but I'll give that 5. Refinement, again, I think there is some refinement going on there, so I'll give that 4. And presentation, I think there's some presentation and some thought and consideration, so I'll give that a 3. Critical evaluation that's backwards facing and saying why, none, and forwards facing, none. So we've got 3 and 4 is 7, and then we had 5 and 6, which gives you 11. 11 and 7 is 18. So 18 out of 70 for all that work and all that drawing. But I think that is a U, but I think we could definitely take that up to an A without too much trouble. So in the next videos we're going to look at what you could do to improve each of those sections.